set in 1968 at a German university. The scene begins by showing a 15-year-old student named Michael. Today is a bad day for Michael, where when he gets on the train he feels nauseous. Michael gets off the train while it's raining, but Michael's condition gets worse. Accidentally, a kind woman named Hannah passes by the alley. Hannah helps Michael and will invite Michael to have coffee at her house so that Michael's immunity doesn't get worse. When he almost arrives at Hannah's house, Michael feels a little better. Michael is very grateful to Hannah and then he goes home. Long story short, when he gets home, Michael's family has called a doctor. The doctor said that Michael has a red spot fever. A fever like this can be contagious. Michael must rest at home for at least 2 months. The family who heard that, they immediately left Michael alone in the room. He remembered Hannah, who had helped him 3 months ago. Michael looked for Hannah's house, then after finding her, Michael came with flowers while thanking her once again. Hannah was also grumpy and seemed to dislike Michael, but even so, Hannah was now going to work with Michael, and Michael was told to wait outside. Michael went out, but Michael didn't close the door so he could see clearly when Hannah was changing clothes. Then they left for their respective destinations. Michael just found out a fact where Hannah was willing to work as a train conductor because now Hannah was living alone. Long story short, after Hannah got home from work, she took care of the fuel. Hannah saw Michael, who was already in front of her house. She told Michael to help Hannah. After Michael finished cleaning up the fuel, he looked dumbfounded. Hannah could only laugh and tell Michael to take a shower. Michael was a little hesitant because he was afraid of being peeked at by Hannah. Hannah convinced Michael to take a shower and Hannah wouldn't see Michael's penis. But after Michael changed all his clothes, it turned out that Hannah peeked at Michael. Then when Michael had finished cleaning his body, a match happened, planned between the two of them. When Michael returned from Hannah's house, he said that he got lost, that's why he was late coming home. Michael's younger siblings didn't believe it, but Michael's mother really believed in Michael. Then Michael said that he would go to school again tomorrow. His father was very supportive of Michael, and long story short, the next day, Michael went straight home. At that time, he became grumpy and avoided Michael. Even when he arrived home, Hannah seemed not to know Michael. Michael asked the reason. There Hannah said that Hannah was disappointed because Michael sat on the second train, even though Hannah worked on the first train. Hannah now didn't want to see Michael, and immediately chased Michael away with sharp words. After Michael cried, he went back inside and told Hannah that Michael loved Hannah very much. Michael also asked if Hannah loved Michael. Hannah agreed. Then they continued doing things as usual. Then, we are then transferred to the present, where all of Sinta-G is Michael's memory. In Berlin, Michael himself is now old. Then as a lawyer he immediately went to justice to take care of his client. Back to the past where Michael is now in school. On the first day he met a female student named Sophie. Sophie seemed interested in Michael, even Sophie who asked to get to know Michael. Then long story short, it's Michael's birthday. All of Michael's friends have given him a surprise, including Sophie who invited Michael into the house to celebrate Michael's birthday party. Michael didn't come in because he already had an appointment with someone. All of Michael's friends were disappointed, of course, including Sophie who heard this. Long story short, Michael has now arrived at Hannah's house. There Michael only reads a fairy tale book. But after a long time Michael feels that Hannah is very strange, where Hannah never asks about Michael even though today is Michael's birthday. Then why is Hannah not happy at all? After the useless debate just now, Hannah immediately organizes Michael. The next day Michael plays with his friends as usual. Hannah herself is now packing all her things, and long story short, after Michael arrives at Hannah's house, it turns out that Hannah has left Michael. Michael was immediately very sad and immediately packed all his own things because he was going home. In the present day, Michael apparently already has a child named Julia. Julia had just come home from school and Julia was very happy because she could meet her father. Then we return to young Michael, where he is now studying at Heidelberg Law School in 196. Again, Michael is liked by his classmate named Carl. Even when school hours were over, Carl invited Michael to attend the trial. Long story short, when he arrived at the trial, when Michael was taking a pen, he was very surprised, because the suspect in the trial was Hannah, who was now 43 years old. Hannah was a member of the Nazi SS group, the beginning of Hannah's recruitment, because at that time there were people who offered her a job as a guard. Hannah, who needed money, she accepted the job and Hannah was placed in a concentration camp as one of the guards. Hannah's case was that she was accused of selecting old women and letting the women in the concentration camp be killed. In other words, Hannah had killed the women. Hannah denied it, and she also said that the women were only transferred. Each guard in the concentration camp also selected 10 people to be transferred. So it wasn't just Hannah who transferred them. And regarding killing women in the concentration camp, Hannah had no idea that they would be killed, because all Hannah knew was that they would be transferred. Then one of the guards was presented. He pointed out several women who had previously worked as guards in the concentration camp, but this woman said that Hannah was the only guard who was the most different. Where Hannah always called children and weak people to read books to Hannah. At first he thought Hannah was a very good guard, but he didn't expect that Hannah would send them to die. Then Michael himself heard that. He realized and was 100% sure that Hannah couldn't write and couldn't read. Then one of the victims in the concentration camp was presented. This woman said that there used to be a bomb attack in the church. The church where the women's shelter was burned down, including about 300 women in the church. They all died because the door was locked from the outside. The 6 guards in the concentration camp did not open the church. And now only this woman survived the incident. Long story short, a few days later the judge had questioned the 5 guards. But their testimony was unclear. Now it was Hannah's turn to be asked why Hannah and the 5 guards did not want to open the church door. Hannah said honestly that the guards could not let them out, because if they did they would run away and there would be worse chaos. The incident at that time was very fast and not easily digested by the brain. There was a bomb, there was snow, and of course the guards could not open the church door that held the Jewish prisoners. The judge who heard that, he understood. Then the judge also interrogated the 5 guards, and the 5 guards fought Hannah, where the 5 guards pointed to Hannah as the person responsible for the incident. Hannah denied it and said that the incident had been discussed in the past and the 5 of them also wrote the same order as Hannah. The 5 guards who heard that, they denied it and accused Hannah herself of writing the order. The judge who heard the conversation, he told Hannah to write. If Hannah's writing is the same as the warrant or report, then Hannah will be proven guilty and proven to be solely responsible for the murder of 300 women who were detained. There, Hannah thought very hard. Then after thinking for a long time, who knows what Hannah was thinking? What is certain is that Hannah admitted that she herself wrote the incident. The next day, the professor who knew that Michael had feelings for one of the defendants, he asked what happened to Michael. Michael said that he had information that could lighten Hannah's sentence. Hannah also had information that could make Hannah innocent. But for some reason Hannah didn't want to say it. The professor who heard that, he told Michael to meet Hannah in prison. The next day Michael came to prison, and after waiting for a long time, Michael and the other visitors were invited to enter. However, after Hannah waited for a long time, Michael did not meet Hannah. Michael immediately came out of prison and immediately tore apart Carl's Sarabi Lempit cabinet. Come on, let's go. After doing that with Carl, Michael felt unhappy. Michael remembered Hannah. A few days later the final trial was held, when Hannah entered the courtroom. Everyone bullied Hannah. The decision of the trial that had been quite long and mature. That Michael said that he would divorce Carl. Michael told his mother not to worry about Carl, because Carl was now a famous lawyer, and of course, Carol's salary was now much bigger than Michael's. Then Michael felt restless and anxious. He now started reading a book while recording the story. Then he sent the recording to Hannah, who heard Michael's voice. He was very touched. A few days later, Hannah had started to memorize Michael's story. Then Hannah went to the library to borrow the same book as the book that Michael read. Then while listening to Michael's recording, Hannah started to learn to read by herself. A few years later Hannah had started to be able to write. She sent a letter to Michael. Hannah asked Michael to make another recording about a romantic story. Michael, who read it, he was very touched. Long story short, Michael was contacted by a prison officer. He reported that Hannah had been in prison for more than 20 years. Free Hannah has no family or relatives. The only person who sends letters to Hannah is Michael. But when Hannah is released, Hannah will need a place to live and a job. The prison officer hopes that Michael can help Hannah later. A few days later, Hannah will be released in a week. Michael comes to prison. Michael meets Hannah. There Michael says that Michael already has a place to live for Hannah, and later Hannah will work at a sewing place. Hannah is very grateful to Michael. Then they are a bit awkward because Hannah left Michael without saying goodbye. Hannah seems to want to express that she still likes Michael. Likewise with Michael, who still cares about Hannah very much. However, because Michael still remembers that Hannah left him, Michael acts coldly to Hannah, then immediately says goodbye and will come back in a week to pick up Hannah. Long story short, 1 week later Michael arrives at prison. The prison officer drops Michael off sadly. Then after arriving at the cell, it turns out that Hannah has passed out. Hannah also wrote a message for Michael, where only have money and some money in the bank. Michael must give the money to the children who survived the concentration camp. Michael, who heard that, he immediately regretted because yesterday he had been cold to Hannah. A week later Michael met one of his children who survived the concentration camp. There Michael explained that most of her life Hannah could not write and could not read. Hannah could only write and read from last year. This woman did not believe it because Michael did not explain who he was. Michael, who heard that, he explained who he was. Where Michael used to have an affair with Hannah, and of course Michael knew Hannah very well. The woman who heard that, she began to believe Michael. However, the woman questioned Michael's arrival, whether Michael wanted to apologize or Michael was looking for his own peace. Michael did not answer that, and he immediately gave his will to Hannah. The woman, who was already filthy rich, she did not want to accept the money, but she only wanted to accept the can. Then the film ended with Michael taking Julia to Hannah's grave, and Michael also telling the truth about his relationship with Michael and Hannah. Okay, so the lesson we can learn from this film is that when a man has been left without saying goodbye, he will remember and be reluctant to approach him again, even though he still loves him very much. Likewise with women, when a woman feels that the man she likes is cold, she will avoid him or even run away like Hannah. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to watch the next movie storyline.